It's no secret a transporter accident turns everyone into Muppets. That's it. That's the episode's gimmick. It's time to talk about, analyze, review, break down, theorize, and rant about Star Trek Strange New Worlds 4th season episode, Level 5 Transporter Accident. Spoiler alert! Hit it! Okay, before we start, I want to state that we love the Muppets and Sesame Street, and we obviously love Star Trek. So that means this episode should be a match made in heaven, right?
Not necessarily, Mouse.
You see, we love Star Trek because it's a sci-fi show that explores the human condition. Sure, fantastical things happen, but more often than not, they're grounded in some kind of scientific believability, even if they stretch the scientific concepts to their limits and beyond.
And turning officers into Muppets blows that science out of the window, and then some.
Yeah, it's something that belongs more in a magic and fantasy setting.
Now, this sort of thing has happened in other shows, most notably Angel, where Angel was turned into a Muppet through magic.
And that works because Angel dealt with monsters and demons and witchcraft and magic, so you can accept that a character became a Muppet. You expect it from a show such as that one.
Here, however, I fear Star Trek is forgetting its roots, and I have serious concerns about this week's gimmick.
And not because it's yet another gimmick episode. We're halfway through the season, and all we've had is gimmick after gimmick after gimmick. However good or bad this episode is, I sincerely hope that's the end of it and we'll get original storytelling from the next one on.
Hope breeds eternal misery, McCluck.
Aye.
So all this is to say, it could be fun, we might enjoy it, but we have strong reservations. Well, hopefully this story will hold together despite its premise.
Don't forget what I said about hope, Commander.
So, having said that, let's do this. We start with the Enterprise heading for Vulcan. We hear there's pirate activity in the area, and we focus on Scotty trying to convince Spock that the transporter could beam someone a lot further than the current limit. There's some competition with an engineer called Declan, as Scotty wants to beam his felt puppet, Ricky, to Declan's ship, which is nearly 30,000 clicks away.
I can see where this is going.
Only because of all the previews, mind.
Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? Previews all too often ruin a movie, show, or episode. We should do away with those things altogether.
So, as we're gearing up for the big reveal, which, admittedly, isn't going to be a big reveal at all, La'an breaks up with Spock and Pike enjoys his new command chair. Meanwhile, Spock has trouble meditating as his mind keeps going back to what happened on the Griffin, so he contacts T'Pring for counsel.
It turns out that she's actually nearby, and may be open to seeing him and advise him, as long as no hijinks happen.
Well, how could anyone promise that won't happen?
Especially considering how hijinks always occur when she guest stars on the show.
And when she's not.
So then, Spock's in a shuttle setting up relay buoys to facilitate Scotty's transporter experiment.
And that's when something goes wrong. Ricky the puppet is beamed out, an error occurs, everyone on the Enterprise is beamed out to somewhere, and even the Enterprise itself is beamed away and disappears,
leaving Spock alone in the shuttle.
Get ready for this week's gimmick.
The Enterprise reappears, Spock boards it, gets to the bridge, only to see that the crew have been turned into Muppets.
And there it is.
And crazy and ludicrous or not.
Well, there's no or not about it, Commander.
Well, why don't we join in the fun?
Are you bloody serious, Commander?
If they can do it, why can't we?
Well, that sure will make for an interesting analysis.
So the crew set off to find a solution, and Pike contacts Admiral April for help.
April tells them that they're sending a ship to help and assist, as Muppets can't even use the ship's controls, but the nearest one is 2 days away.
And there's a problem right there. When Scotty was telling Spock about his transporter idea, Spock told him multiple ships were 27,000 kilometers from the Enterprise, ideal test subjects for an extended transporter experiment. So, what happened to all those ships? Even at impulse, they'd only be minutes away.
My guess is the writers likely hoped you'd have forgotten about the little nugget of information. After all, that was like at the start of the episode, and we're now 15 minutes in. Can anyone even remember what they did 15 minutes ago?
Well, I remember I was a mouse back then. Well, no one can help them for 2 days, and Spock is the only one able to operate any controls, so he's needed everywhere. On the bridge, in the transporter room, in the sick bay.
La'an tries to get herself beamed out and back in again, but she remains a Muppet.
Although one of her arms pops out.
Which revealed nothing but stuffing inside.
Well, that just goes too far for me. From a sci-fi angle, you could argue that the crew were made to look different externally, but they still have internal organs and everything else inside so they can be, alive. But stuffing? That's where you wave bye-bye to any kind of attempt at realism.
So Spock sews La'an's arm back on, and is good as new.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, ridiculous or not, Spock is overwhelmed and obviously cannot be everywhere at once.
Well, why can't they just power down most of the ship so, they don't have to do much, if at all? Where would be the fun in that?
Like the fun of seeing Muppet T'Pring slapping Spock as he's having a panic attack.
I've got a feeling T'Pring is channeling her inner Miss Piggy there.
Yeah, they might be becoming more Muppet-like the longer they remain Muppets.
We'll have to see what happens over time. But while Spock is on the bridge trying to help Ortega spy out the ship, Uhura wants his help with communications, and all of a sudden, an Orion ship is coming into range. They're puzzled because their scans only reveal one life form.
So, the Muppets are alive, yet don't register as life forms. Okay.
Through an audio-only conversation, Pike convinces them to back off, but when trying to end communications, Uhura somehow opens the video feed and our local pirates see what's actually going on.
Wouldn't be much of an episode if you didn't add pirates to the mix, I guess.
All thanks to an easily avoidable blunder.
What I'm amazed by is that they don't shut the feed immediately, but Puppet Pike starts talking to the Orion captain, who realizes Spock is the only one who can man any controls, so they decide to fire on the Enterprise.
And all the Muppet crew everywhere on the ship panic like Muppets do.
Spock manages to retaliate, but not before serious damage occurs. His help is needed in engineering, so off he goes. Somehow, Scotty got trapped under a torpedo housing.
What's the torpedo doing in engineering?
Unknown, McCluck, but there it is, and Spock seems unable to be able to lift it.
Don't Vulcans have superior strength?
Not today, it seems.
But it's okay, because Scotty was able to get himself out from under the torpedo somehow.
How exactly?
Apparently being a Muppet means he could do that easily, but he didn't know it until now.
Well, exactly what kind of explanation is that? Funny one?
It wasn't particularly.
And funny or not, now the Orions have boarded the Enterprise.
As Spock rushes to investigate, he bumps into T'Pring carrying a ton of phasers. She wants to help, but obviously she can't fire weapons with her Muppet fingers.
Yeah, she brought them for Spock. As they discuss what to do, they hear Orions behind them. Spock distracts them by shooting at them to allow T'Pring to get away and warn the bridge.
And he just shoots at them without even seeking cover. And then the only living being on board the ship gets captured. Isn't Spock supposed to be a genius-level intellect?
He's supposed to be, but not today, I guess. So, he's captured, and some Muppets form an offensive.
You mean La'an and Una?
Yes, and it's not effective in the slightest. They can't even hit anyone with any force.
So, how exactly was T'Pring able to slap Spock twice with intent and force? Because it was funny then, and it's funny now? But whatever happened to consistency? Like many ships being nearby, but now they're 2 days away. Or hitting someone as a Muppet is effective, but now it isn't. I could accept the absurdity of the situation, but at the very least, the absolute minimum, please give me consistency within the parameters of your story.
So nothing can stop the Orions. They get to the bridge, cut Pelia in half, chuck the other Muppets around, and the leader sits in the captain's chair, leaving the Muppets to run away.
Well, why not chop the other Muppets in half?
Because they see them as unable to do anything.
Guess they never heard of better safe than sorry.
If they incapacitated the whole crew even further, there wouldn't be much of a story now, would there?
Of course, like there's nothing more satisfying than a story that progresses based on the ineptitude of the pro or antagonist. While Mbenga and Chapel do their best to sew Pelia back together again, Pike decides he'll go and rescue Spock.
Except that doesn't go according to plan. He gets captured by the Orion captain and used as an example for Spock. She throws him into the airlock and opens the outer doors, sending Pike into space to Spock's utter shock.
Lucky he's a Muppet and doesn't need to breathe or need warmth or anything like that.
Yeah, the level of peril is actually at an all-time low here, when it shouldn't really be.
It takes no time for the rest of the crew to realize Pike is alive and well too, with Pelia using herself as an example. She's sewn back together now, and she can walk again as if nothing ever happened to her.
So sewing La'an's arm back on wasn't enough of a clue?
I think they'd forgotten about that by then.
Diminishing attention span will be the death of the human race.
And how exactly did Pike get back inside the Enterprise? There's no airlock in the observation deck. And How would the rest of the Muppets have been able to operate the controls anyway?
With great difficulty?
Like, all that makes perfect sense.
So, realizing Muppets are practically immortal and engines of chaos, in order to get the ship back, they'll need to embrace their inner and outer Muppets, which they do to get rid of one of the Orions who was just outside the door.
So, now their punches are effective again?
Punches and kicks. With the crew out, T'Pring gets captured and taken to Spock. She gets rid of his guard by setting him on fire because he tried to set her hand on fire to torture her, but that kind of backfired. She then performs a mind meld with Spock to let him in on Pike's plan.
What follows is ridiculous pandemonium on the bridge, where Muppets can successfully attack the Orions now, while their captain just sits in the chair and watches. Why doesn't she do anything?
She has a gun and shoots a red shirt, but despite having a huge hole in him now, he's otherwise unaffected.
Then just shoot them in the head. Does she want the ship or not?
This isn't supposed to be a serious episode, McCluck.
Oh, Commander, I know that. I mean, look at me. But why bother capturing a ship if you're not planning on doing anything to keep it?
And on that subject, there should be over 200 Muppets on the ship. All of them together would have had an advantage over the handful of Orions. Now, I know the Jim Henson Company couldn't create that many Muppets, but come on! Where were they all during this adventure?
Why, it's not like they were needed, dog. These are bad guys, were as ineffectual as any bad guy from any poorly made Saturday morning kids show.
The plan was for Spock to get in Pike's chair, which he does by throwing Pike onto the Orion captain. And once in control, Spock turns off the life support, rendering all oxygen-needing creatures unconscious.
But not immediately. First, the Orion captain gets frustrated as to why Spock says nothing, then Pike has to explain what's going on, all while she still holds her gun, yet doesn't fire at anyone.
As ineffectual as any bad guy from any poorly made Saturday morning kid show. And while we're at it, I thought Pike had been unable to transfer his command codes to Spock because the chair wouldn't recognize his hand controls, yet now it's done?
There is no sense or logic, McCluck. Only chaos.
So, Spock was saved and taken to sickbay to recover. Scotty figured out how to reverse the Muppet effect, which ended up being simple enough, but some of the crew chose to remain Muppets so they could enjoy being in space without a spacesuit.
Floating and talking in space. And how are they going to get back? It's not like they can propel themselves or anything.
And I guess the fact they acknowledge the absurdity of it all means it's okay, right?
The writers probably expect you to think that, I guess.
Would it surprise you that I don't?
Not in the slightest. Oh, they did one better, though. They went for the classic and oh-so-tired trope that it was all a dream.
They what?
Well, at least the absurdity makes more sense now.
It turns out that the transporter accident only damaged Spock's shuttle and several nearby buoys, meaning he was the only one hurt, and he had been unconscious all that time.
Cop out.
Well, at least that explains all the incongruities. Nothing made sense because dreams don't make sense. Ships are nearby, then they're not. Muppets can hit people, then they can't. Pike can get back inside the Enterprise. Spock can't have control of Pike's chair, then he does. The Orions are totally useless.
Oh yeah, sure, but it being all a dream is the absolute laziest way to get out of a sticky situation. It's so lazy, we even used it in one of our own Animoji Menagerie adventures.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, it was, but it was also a cop-out ending, and I don't mind admitting it.
Well, our ship did blow up. It kind of made it hard to undo the mess we'd made.
Whereas here, they'd found a solution to their dilemma, but still they ended up with it being a dream.
At least, worst trope ever aside, it didn't break physics or the show's sci-fi concept.
Which means, on a rewatch, we might enjoy its irreverence more.
Something positive from the dock.
I'm not always negative, Mouse. I just have standards.
And speaking of standards, the Muppets were top-notch.
Definitely merchandising opportunity there.
Plus, it's quite rare to see a full Muppet, legs and all, standing on their own. I think they did an excellent job with them. The best one was Spike. He looked great.
Oh, come on. Pelia was phenomenal.
She certainly was, for sure. So all of the complaints we had about the episode pretty much disappeared because of the final revelation.
Oh no, I'm not letting them get away without criticizing the dream element of the story, Commander.
With what essentially ended up being a waste of our viewing time, no matter how cute and well-made the Muppets were.
Well, that's the problem with dream sequences. Not only does the story structure not matter, but the audience can end up feeling betrayed by the story they've just watched. as we have.
Well, we should have known something was off when the Enterprise itself beamed out.
Yeah, that was weird.
But there wasn't any sign at all that something had happened to Spock. No clue or nothing.
Yeah, they got us. They gave us a silly episode with minimal threat, which was fun to watch if you didn't care about the logic of the situation, but ended up with nothing having happened at all.
So what you're saying is, although the previous episodes used a gimmick to weave some kind of a story around it to a lesser or greater success, this one was just pure gimmickry and nothing else.
Yep, no adventure, no lesson, no morality tale, no pondering of a mystery or ethical dilemma. Just Muppets in space, and that's it.
Not exactly good Star Trek entertainment, mind.
Nope, like you said, just gimmick for gimmick's sake.
I mean, even when you had silly episodes in older Star Trek, or like Cupid, at least there was a bit of meat on the bones of that story.
Yeah, well, they didn't jump the shark, so that was a relief. But they definitely didn't grow the beard, though.
No, but what they did most certainly do was sow the felt.
Make of that what you will. So, that's pretty much all we have to say about this episode. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll give you the response you deserve.
The Enterprise reappears, Spock boards it, The Enterprise reappears, Spock boards it, gets to the... She then performs a mind meld with Spock to let him in. She then performs a mind meld with Spock to let him in. She then performs a mind meld with Spock to let him in.
And he just shoots at them without even seeking cover, and then the only living being...
But whatever happened to consistency? But whatever happened to consistency? But whatever happened to consistency? There is no sense or logic, McCluck. Only chaos.